So I'm going to share it with you. It's about this saintly, pious, tzaddik rabbi who died and went to heaven. And he was kind of disappointed there, eating every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, tuna sandwiches. One day he's walking around in heaven and he noticed a fence. And from the other side of the fence, there was this beautiful smell of a barbecue coming to him. Then he went to complain. He said, God, I don't understand. What's that? And God said, that's hell. He said, they're having a barbecue. I'm having tuna sandwiches every day. And God said, to be honest, I don't feel like cooking for 2 people. So after the service, when we go to Kiddush, when you see the tuna sandwiches, just feel you're in heaven. Don't think about anything else. Just think you're in heaven. You see, it is good. It is good. Thank you. Thank you for that. I may have flopped with the other one, but I thought it was also good. But now I have another joke for another service. Anyway, I want to talk to you today about uncharted territory. Uncharted territory. And today is all about the fact that we human beings, even though we try sometimes, we never know what is going to happen tomorrow. Forget about the world. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow in our own lives. And we have to learn to live with that kind of uncertainty of what is expected, of what is coming to us. And as I was studying the characters in the Torah, you will realize that all of them, from the beginning to the end, they were called up to do great things with their lives. They have great, important missions to fulfill. God gave them that missions, but nowhere in the Torah, we see a character to whom God gave a detailed roadmap of how their lives were going to unfold. They knew the mission, but that's it. They never knew what was going to happen today, what was going to happen tomorrow. It's very interesting. They knew they were created for something great, but nothing beyond that. Think about this. Let's think about this. Let's talk, for example, about Jacob, the last of our patriarchs. Do you think he had any idea when he had to run for his life, when he has to run away from his house, and he worked with Laban, right, almost in slavery conditions? Do you think he realized at that point that he was going to become the father of the tribes of Israel? He had no clue. I'm pretty sure at the time that he has to run away, he felt worthless, and he felt that nothing good was going to come from his life. And yet, at the end, he became the father of the nation of Israel. Think about now his son Joseph. How do you think he felt when he was bullied by his brothers, when he was sold as a slave and he was put in a dungeon in Egypt? Do you think he will realize at that point that eventually he was going to become the viceroy of Egypt? Not at all. Not at all. He probably had this feeling of also being worthless at one point of his life. Thing happened with King David, that he was totally ignored by his family. He was totally ignored by the army at the time, and yet he became the king of Israel. What about Moses? How do you think he felt when he had to leave the palace, all the luxurious life that he was used to go work for, to go work as a shepherd? Probably minimum wages. He was working for his father-in-law. What we expect, right? How do you think he felt at that point? Probably worthless. And yet, eventually, he became the deliverer. And he became the most famous prophet and the most admired prophet of the land of Israel. And eventually, I believe they discovered at one point or another, because I think unless you discover this, you can't keep going. He discovered that you cannot let the circumstances make you forget how special you are. At one point, they had that thought. They realized that they would not allow the circumstances to let them forget how special they were and how important their mission was. So they were able to overcome all the challenges. They were able to overcome all the negativity, all the issues on their lives. And they became the great people that we know in the Torah. They didn't allow that mindset of things are going to be impossible. Look around. Look at the reality. There is nothing I can do. They didn't allow that mindset to guide their lives. And they kept reminding themselves that they have something important to do. And eventually, they did it. And they fulfilled their missions. God trusted them with something special. They were able to do it. And I realized that the greatest tragedy is not to die young. The greatest tragedy in life sometimes is to die at old age, but without being able to fulfill or to develop all our potential. All these great characters from the Torah, they are teaching us that we have to realize our potential. And considering how limited our days are in this earth, we have to find a way to bring back and to remember our worth, to remember how special we are, and to remember that doesn't matter who you are, you have an important mission to fulfill. And God is expecting us to realize that. So, in this week's Parsha, something very interesting happened. It's a continuation of the previous one, where we have all these promises of redemption coming from God to the Jewish people. And the people didn't listen. Moses came to talk to them with great news. We're going to the promised land. You're not going to be a slave anymore. You have great things ahead of you. But they didn't listen to Moses. And why didn't they listen? Well, because they have, number one, they were slaves. Number two, as soon as they started to believe that there was something special about them, the Torah says that Pharaoh made their lives even more miserable. Pharaoh added more hardship to their lives. And that makes it difficult to believe. Even more so, when they started to believe a little bit, they realized that there was plague after plague after plague and nothing happened. Where is the promised land? We are already in the 7th plague and we are still stuck in Egypt. Well, I believe that that's also another teaching from this parsha. You can never expect that great things are going to happen just in one day. Things take time. Once we discover how special we are, now that we have a vision, we have a goal, to have something to do, we have to understand that things are not going to happen overnight. It takes time. Think about it this way. For the Jewish people to make it to the promised land, it took 10 plagues plus 40 years. But eventually, they made it. So, I don't know your circumstances, but you probably think that there is something in your life that is taking too long. Don't quit. Just think that sometimes things take time. And sometimes there is pain that we have to endure along the way. But God never promised smooth ride. God always promised a safe landing. So this is a parsha to remind us all our worth, to remind us all how special we are, to remind us all that we have a mission, but also to remind us all that to fulfill that mission is not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes it's not even going to be smooth. But if you remain strong, like Moses, or like the way Moses was trying to encourage the people of Israel to remain strong, and you keep moving forward, you keep being patient, and you keep strengthening your faith, eventually you're going to make it to that promised land. So, I wanted to realize that sometimes, this is a special Shabbat. We have the board of management of Shari Zedek here, right? I'm pretty sure many of you feel that it's impossible. You look at the work ahead and say, there is no way. So I want to encourage you, the way Moses encouraged the Jewish people, that challenges are part of our life. Our job is to remain strong, to have faith, and never, ever quit. Because at the end of this uncharted territory is the promised land. Shabbat shalom, everyone.